Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today I've got a very special announcement for you guys and an opportunity for you to come out and see a cool new artifact that's going to be on display here at the Battleship. Maybe the most important artifact that we will bring to the museum since the ship herself, which we do consider an artifact in the museum's collection. Battleship New Jersey is going to be the temporary home location for the stern plate for the aircraft carrier Enterprise CV-6. Enterprise was the most decorated warship from World War II, but starting in 1958, she was scrapped. Enterprise was too old, beat up, and small to continue to be used. The US Navy had basically an infinite number of Essex-class carriers to use in the post-war world, which were larger, had more room for modifications, and in most cases hadn't been as beat up as Enterprise, which survived 20 separate battles and campaigns throughout the war, more than any other single ship in that entire conflict. In fact, the closest any battleship got was only 3/4 of that many battle stars. New Jersey has less than half that many. Granted, she was in the war for about 2 years less than Enterprise. Enterprise is scrapped right here in the state of New Jersey between 1958 and 1960. There was an effort to save the ship that even got buy-in from Admiral Halsey, who helped fundraise for it, but ultimately they weren't able to raise enough money in the short period of time between when the Navy announced that they were doing it and when it actually started to happen. So the ship unfortunately was not saved. Because this is happening in the late 50s, museum ships are just too new of a thing. You had Texas already as a museum ship starting in 1948, but she had been preserved in her home state of Texas. So the whole state of Texas was interested in saving her. Enterprise wasn't named after any particular place. So while there were efforts to take her to New York or San Diego, there just wasn't the same sort of connection. And so you see many of the early museum ships in the 40s, 50s, and 60s are battleships being taken to their home state. In fact, it's more than a decade after Enterprise is completely gone in 1970 when USS Yorktown opens up in Charleston, South Carolina, that you even have an aircraft carrier saved as a museum. And South Carolina doesn't have a battleship named after them left during World War II. So probably why they look for the next type of capital ship and accept one that isn't named after their home state. But there was nowhere like that for Enterprise in 1958, so ultimately she isn't saved as a complete vessel. The Navy does go on board and salvage many artifacts from her. Notably, a number of portholes are taken off, some of which are saved, some of which are reused in Enterprise CVN 65. The ship's anchor, one of the ship's anchors is saved, the ship's bell is saved, the ship's commissioning plaque is saved. Efforts to save the tripod mast and take it to the Naval Academy fell through. A couple of other pieces are saved here and there. But the Navy wasn't the only group that worked to save parts of the Enterprise. And that's the really cool part, where a single individual is able to contribute to saving history. And that's something that any one of us could do were we in that situation. And we're so glad that he did. So the engineer in charge of scrapping Enterprise for the Lipset Company in Kearney, New Jersey, was a man named Henry Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman salvaged the stern plate of Enterprise, which is about 16 foot long and 3 feet tall, and took it back to his hometown of Rivervale, New Jersey, which is about 2 hours north of the battleship. It's actually north of New York City. Really lovely town, not much of a tourist center, but they took this stern plate that he had brought and they put it on display. They had it in their park where they had baseball fields and other things, and they moved it to a memorial site that they dedicated a couple years later. So they both preserved and respectfully displayed this stern plate for over 65 years, which is really impressive. Several organizations got together to work on putting the stern plate on display somewhere where it would be more visible. The town of Rivervale, of course, was one major stakeholder involved. They are donating the stern plate. Naval History and Heritage Command, the curator's branch of the United States Navy, is the other major player. So Rivervale donated it to the Navy, and we'll talk more about them in a second. Battleship New Jersey, of course, as a place to display it now, is one of the locations and one of the stakeholders. And Navy and Marine Corps Homecoming 250, the organization that brought the Navy's Fleet Week 2025 to Philadelphia for the 250th anniversary of the founding of the Navy and Marine Corps, is the other major stakeholder. And all these groups are coming together on October 9th, right here on Battleship New Jersey's pier, where we are going to display the Enterprise stern plate. So, how it's ending up here at the Battleship, Rivervale donated it to the Navy. The Navy is going to put it in their new National Museum. But their new National Museum, which is going to be built in Washington, D.C., just off of the Navy Yard in D.C., so it'll have more visitor access than the current museum on the Navy Yard. That new museum isn't completed yet. They're expecting completion to be around 2030, and they're currently fundraising for that. We're going to leave a link in the description below if you'd like to support the Navy's efforts to make this new museum, where they will have this awesome artifact from USS Enterprise. But in the meantime, Rivervale had taken the stern plate off of display, and they weren't too keen on donating it only for it to go into a warehouse for half a decade. And that's perfectly reasonable. We all want this thing to be available to the public. So, Navy 250, which is working on bringing Fleet Week here, worked with them to get it set up at the Battleship for some of the opening ceremonies for Fleet Week. So on October 9th, 2025, the opening day of Fleet Week, we are going to officially unveil the stern plate. Now, you might notice that I'm talking in front of the Battleship, in roughly around the area where the stern plate will be displayed on our pier. But I'm not talking in front of the stern plate. On August 18th, 2025, myself and some of my coworkers went up and met with the folks at Rivervale to transfer the stern plate to the museum. And we drove it to a fabrication shop, Haberle Fabrication, that does steel work, and they're making a base for this stern plate to stand on. The Rivervale had the stern plate mounted on these beautiful white concrete pillars, and they had to be demolished to make the stern plate transportable. They were too heavy. So we're making a new steel base plate for it right now that is going to be part of the display. The problem is the stern plate has some complex curves because it is the literal stern of Enterprise with both the curve of the stern and the curve inwards. So that wasn't as easy as, let me just get some measurements and send it to them and they can make them. No, they took the whole thing so they can weld it together. They're going to spend about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks fabricating that, and they're going to bring it out here to the museum. We're going to spend a week or two painting it and getting it all looking good, and mounting it here on our pier, putting up signage for it, and then October 9th, we will officially unveil it. We will have representatives from the Navy, both Naval History and Heritage Command and the active Navy. We'll have representatives of Rivervale, Navy 250. I'll be there along with many of my coworkers here from the museum. It's not a long trip for us. We'll also have some of our important politicians who support us here, who love seeing objects like these displayed in their home state. Be sure to keep an eye out as we announce more information on the time and the lineup of speakers and things like that for this event. And we'd really like to thank, first off, the late Mr. Henry Hoffman for preserving this artifact, the city of Rivervale for taking care of it for all these years, Naval History and Heritage Command and their new National Navy Museum for letting us display it here for a couple of years. and the folks from Navy 250 for making this happen. We're so excited to be able to add Battleship New Jersey back into the history of USS Enterprise. It has been some 80 years since New Jersey and Enterprise operated alongside each other, and we are about to have the first time ever, I think, that there will be 39 battle stars worth of ships on a single pier between Battleship New Jersey's 19 battle stars, the most of any preserved ship, and the senior surviving piece of the aircraft carrier Enterprise, which earned 20 battle stars, a presidential unit citation, a Navy unit citation, and a British Admiralty pennant, all on display here at Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial starting October 9th. I hope to see you there, and I hope to see you at some of the other Fleet Week Philadelphia and Navy and Marine Corps 250 homecoming celebrations that week. If a ship can't be saved, what do you think is important to save off of her? Things like bells, nameplates, what would you like to see saved in lieu of an entire ship? I've seen entire compartments from ships, like all the bridge equipment, on display before. Let us know in the comment section down below what you think is the most moving memorial that you can make from parts of a ship. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support, and again, there's a link in the description below if you'd like to support the ongoing efforts to fund a National Museum of the United States Navy. The Air Force has one, the Marine Corps has one, the Army just opened one. We got to get one for the Navy. You can support Battleship New Jersey by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.